Welcome to the Enabling Festival 2021. My name is Daniel and I'm the co-founder of Enable Asia. Due to the current pandemic situation, this festival will continue to remain an online festival for 2021. The festival really aims to challenge, to explore, to shape perceptions and the understanding of dementia as well as caregiving, but through technology and the arts. Well, this year's focus is on taste, and we have curated many different programs surrounding taste for you. So please visit us at enableasia.org to see what we have to offer. Please enjoy the upcoming program.
Hello, hi everyone, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm Emily Ong, and this year the Enabling Festival 2021 is featuring on the food and taste. So what about why food? Well, it's because food has certain very strong memory to us. Like for example, when you walk past by a bakery shop, the smell of the fragrance from the baking and things like that really gets you excited. So and this is particularly relevant and important for people living with dementia because senses is something that they hold on to as the disease progresses. And so for this year, our focus is on food and how do you use food to connect with people living with dementia. So now we are going to do the second item, that is baking. And today I'm going to share with you focaccia bread, which is my favorite bread. And why do focaccia bread? Well, one thing is very simple to make. You don't need expensive gadget or what. All you need is some simple equipment, a bowl and then your hand, because we'll be using folding technique to do. Now let me introduce to you what is so good about focaccia bread. One thing is that focaccia bread is very versatile and it is it's very forgiving bread. Unlike all the other bread which precise measurement is required, but focaccia bread is very forgiving. Another thing is I like doing focaccia bread is because I can put sun-dried tomatoes, and sun-dried tomatoes, now you can get it, the one like for me, this one come in oil, but there are dried one, but I found that the one in the oil is easier for you to do. Now why we do sun-dried tomato is that because sun-dried tomatoes is the flavor is very intense, and then also it is very rich with fiber because of the tomato, as you know, so it gives you the dietary fiber that you need. And then another thing is that it has this it has this lipoprotein, which is a nutrients, minerals that you will need for your eye. So not to protect your eyes, delay the onset of cataract and things like that. Yeah, and of course it's very good for potassium, and potassium is one thing that is good for helping with your high blood pressure if you have high blood pressure. Then, and surprisingly is that even though tomatoes, you might think that tomatoes is like a fruit and veggie, somewhere around like that, but it provides a very rich amount of protein. So this is why I like to make focaccia bread, because all the awesomeness and the richness of the sun-dried tomatoes you can get in a bread. Okay, now let's have a look at all the things that we need for making this bread. And you can notice that I have all the things nicely lined up already, because I need to have a visual view of all the things that I need to have. Not only just the ingredient, but also the measuring equipment. As you can see, all the measuring equipments are placed next to the ingredient. certain ingredients that I tend to make mistake. I am very careful. Like for example, salt. If I put too much salt, the whole bread will be too salty, which I quite often do. So I come across this one. This is it's a digital spoon whereby I can measure a very small amount of the salt. So then I can just put the salt here and I measure, and that is for sure that I will make the mistake. Yeah, and then after that, all this measuring spoon, is just I place it next to the item so that I know this spoon is for this, because it is very hard for me to refer to and fro to my recipe, and then I will get it very confused afterward. So normally before I start, I will look at my recipe, I gather all my ingredients, and then after that I gather all the measuring equipment also, put it next to the item. So and then you can see that there is the egg timer again. This time is the mother hen is coming up for me to do, because when you do our folding technique is every half hourly, so I will need the timer to assist me. And then you need a baking tray, a baking tray for making your focaccia bread. Yeah, so yeah, I forgot to mention that a weighing scale also, and then a weighing scale, and then you just need a big bowl, not a simple bowl. So, and over here, to make the food more nutritious, okay, other than having a sun-dried tomato, is that I also put herbs, lots of herbs. This is rosemary herb because it's going to be rosemary flavor with sun-dried, that goes nicely. And then one thing is I have this nutritional yeast. You can get any brand, no need to be of this particular brand. Nutritional yeast is very important, especially for people living with dementia whose appetite has reduced a lot. So the nutrient dense is very important. And then over here, when you make bread, normally you will need to use white flour. You can use a mixture of flour. Like what I'm going to do here is I'm using a mixture of flour other than the white flour. This one is actually a French flour. This is a French flour, okay. And then over here is the Indian flour, which is actually a multi-grain flour, but it's an Indian one, not the Western multi-grain, in the sense that it's rich with spices and all the cardamom and things like that. And then it's mixed grain. It consists of chickpea and many other types of grains and herbs inside. So because it is very flavorful and rich in herbs, we are not going to put rich in spices. We are not going to use a lot of this. A small amount of 10 grams is good enough. So let's get started. So first we will be measuring up 200. We want this both combination together to be 250. Like I said, this one is very intense flavor, so we will only use 10 grams. So I will start to put 10 grams of this first, and then after that the balance up to be 250. So now I just need to measure another 240 grams of the French flour. Now let's take away this scale because we don't need the scale already. Because this is a mixed flour, so what you do is you mix the flour first, so that you won't have suddenly one patch that is just the very intense flour, multi-grain intense flour. So now we are going to put the 5 grams of salt. So it's just an estimation around that figure. And then the other one is yeast. Normally I don't like to use instant yeast or commercial yeast so much. So I just use a small amount, about 1 gram plus a bit. So next then we are going to put this nutritional yeast, and this is just, it has a bit of the cheesy taste, and because it has a cheese, it has its own flavor, so that's why the salt should not need so much, because or else it will be too much salt inside the bread. Rosemary. So here we are to putting inside here, we are not going to put a lot, because later on before the baking we'll be using quite an amount again. So let's give this a mix. So then we are going to add water. Now this water is a lukewarm water. A lukewarm water will sort of make the yeast work faster, so you don't need to wait for so long, because these breads take a while, because it's a folding technique. So you basically it takes its time for it to develop and strengthen the glutens. So you pour the whole amount in. The ratio of the water to the flour is very high, because this is a very wet dough. So you have to mix it until you don't see any dry flour. And because this one is a wet dough, you don't go and straight work on it. After you mix and then it's no more white flour, the dry flour already. What you need to do is you let it rest, and then you come back to work on it. So we will let this dough rest a bit, because now it's too sticky for you to work on it. So we will give it a cover, and then after that we'll come back and work on it. Bench rest. So here we go. Then give it a 10-minute rest. So while we wait for the 10 minutes time, I just briefly to share with you when I first learned how to make bread. Now, way before I have dementia, I always thought that making bread is only for the professional. I definitely don't know how to make bread, because I don't know how to knead and things like that. Yeah, so then my daughter introduced me this online baking classes that is offered by Bread Ahead from the Boros Market, UK, and the baker Matthew make it so simple, and then I said that okay, I would like to give it a try, and that is where I started baking, and it has been 1 year plus already since then, and almost every other day I will make bread. I have been making different types of bread. Sometimes I fail very badly, sometimes I do make very nice bread, and among all the bread that I make, focaccia bread is the one that I mastered very well, and ever since then I have developed many new flavors and keep on trying out new flavors also. Like what I say, focaccia bread is very forgiving, and so it's worth to try. I mean, time's up. It's time for us to work on the dough. And now we are going to add in the oil, but you don't add in the whole amount of the oil, because some of the oil will be used for baking. So now you will just drizzle the oil around the bowl. Use your hand, and then you try to put your hand under the dough, because we want to get the oil inside of the dough. And then after that, you just lift it up. So this is something that even people living with dementia can do. There is no problem, because there is no what you call right or wrong. All we want is to make sure that when you do this, you mix until the oil is really inside the dough. They are fully mixed together. So you can see that they are now, the oil and the dough come together already. Yeah. So what we do is, the folding technique is you just pick up one side of the dough, stretch it, fold it over, and then stretch it, fold it over. You can turn the bowl also, bread. Normally the first round I don't turn the bowl because I found that it's very difficult for me to turn the bowl. I will get confused. So I prefer to work on it and keep on fork the dough. And then after that you just tap them and that's it. See, this is called 1/4. 1/4. And now what we want to do is we are going to cover and let it rest for another 30 minutes. We will come back to do the folding again. Time's up. 30 minutes have passed. And let's take a look. You notice that the dough have now changed. Just now was very rugged and not smooth at all. Now it's so much smoother. So now what I do is I oil my fingertips so that it won't stick to my hand. And we are going to do the folding. I put a piece of cloth underneath so that it's easier for me to turn my bowl. So you are doing at all the 4 sides. So this is the last side. There you have it. Second fold is done. We're going to let it rest for another 30 minutes and then we'll come back. 30 minutes is up. Let's see how is it now. Notice that the dough is now even more smooth compared to just now. Again, we are going to do the same fold. So this is the last side. Now, when you pick it up, give it a nice tap in. We are going to leave it there for another 30 minutes. This is the third fold. Welcome back. 30 minutes gone. Before I can put this dough inside the baking tray, I need to oil the baking tray. So one thing about focaccia bread is that they use lots of olive oil. So that is where the fragrance is, and you need oil at the bottom or else the bread will get stuck at the bottom and you won't be able to eat the bread. So what we want to do is give them a fold over, and now we are going to give them a stretcher. You see the air bubble? When you have lots of air bubble, it's very nice because it gives that kind of airy texture to your focaccia. So what we want to do now is that we will put it inside the oven for it to rest. Focaccia bread will not rise up a lot, but I want to save us time, so I'm going to use the oven, which I have just now put it on the lowest temperature that your oven can go, and then only for a while, and when it's warm inside, you off it. Only then you pop inside. So you get a cover, and it's very important. Your hand is oily, right? So you just spread onto this so that when it rises up, in case it touch the thing, you can still remove the plastic sheet easily. Remember, the oven should not be on at this point. It's just to put it there. And we'll come back to check on it 30 to 40 minutes time. 30 minutes plus have been up. So we will need to preheat the oven to the highest temperature the oven has. For mine, this small baby here, the highest it can go is 220. So I use an oven thermometer to be more accurate. So this is the sun-dried tomatoes. Normally it will be a wholesome piece like this. So for making the focaccia bread, you need to use a scissor to cut them because you don't want it to be whole piece. You want it to be, just a nice piece every here and there. So now this is where the interesting part comes. Again, I will do my fingertips, make it oily, push it down. So this one will give you the signature features of you see all the air bubbles? Yeah. So we're going to pick up this one and then we'll just tuck it in to all these holes here. This is something that the person living with dementia will be very happy to do. It's just putting it in. So if you don't like sun-dried tomato, you just put whatever amount that you feel that you like. Now I will need to put the rosemary. Remember just now we already have put some rosemary into the dough already. So we're not going to put a lot of rosemary. So now I'm going to use a bit of the oil from the sun-dried tomatoes, which is also olive oil, because the flavor is very intense and it's very nice. If you do have this sea salt flake, then you just drizzle a bit. And then we're going to put it inside the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes depending on your oven temperatures. Spread your oven with a bit of water. This will give the skin a little bit crispy. So off the oven. There. You see how it had rise? So now is to taste whether is the focaccia bread fully cooked through or not. So you just find a place right in the middle and then you just plug it in and let's see. Oops. Yeah. Once it hit 190, then it can. So you can see that it is hit 190, means that your bread is done and it's ready. It's fully cooked. So while the bread is still hot, like what I said, I'm going to drizzle a bit. So this one will keep the bread skin very crunchy. So even when it has cooled down, you eat it, it has that bite. Okay, now I need to go and get something to put the tray for wire netting. So once the thing is out, you have to quickly loosen it so that it's easier for you to remove. So you remember, because we have oiled the bottom very well, it's very easy for you to transfer. So you can remove it like that. And how is the bottom? Let's see whether can I flip it up a bit to show to you what is at the bottom is like, but it's very hot. I will need this to assist me. So I will give it a quick flip and you see, do you see the bottom part? It got holes and it's very crunchy. Okay, it's very hot. Yeah, so that is please don't cut the bread because the bread need to rest for at least an hour. It is still cooking inside, okay? So if you cut it now, it won't be so nice. But focaccia bread is best next day because of the sun-dried tomatoes, it just continue to get the flavor all come together. So that is for me another the two recipe, the anchoa chicken and the focaccia raspberry sun-dried tomatoes. And I hope you enjoyed the cooking with me and learn some of the ways and tips on how to support people living with dementia to continue cooking and baking, because we can still do it, but we will need the strategy to put in place. Bye!
Thank you for watching our program. We hope you have found this useful, and please help us to complete a simple survey by using the QR code provided below. This will help us to improve and fulfill our requirements for the various sponsors. If you want to find out more about the Enabling Festival 2021, please visit our Facebook page, our Instagram, our TikTok, and website to see what we have more lined up for you. The Enabling Festival is in its 4th year now, and it certainly has been a very rewarding journey. We hope we can pledge $1 or more to this cause, because this will further help our cause for dementia community. Thank you, take care, and stay safe.